All right, there's the exterior and the interior. Let's go for a ride and talk about how it drives. Driving the Type R. This is the best part of the car, the way it works. Every Civic drives well. And so the fact that I have an EX actually diminishes my appreciation for this car a little bit, because compared to our Subaru, both of them handle so much better than our Subaru, and I'd rather drive the Civic EX around the city for errands than the Subaru, to tell you the truth. You know, it's not a big hatchback like the Subaru, and it can't tow very much either. So anyhow, the positives about driving the Type R. I'm sitting in this fantastic seat. It's the right distance for my hand to reach the shifter, my foot to put the clutch down exactly where it needs to be, where my hands are, 9.3, everything feels exactly in the right spot. And I can't say that I've had that in a lot of other cars, because often you're sitting too high. Like in the Fords, I was always sitting so stinking high, and you couldn't lower the seat. The Fiesta ST, for example, the last one I had. So that's really fantastic. The shifter is bang on. It is almost as good as an S2000. I really like it. It feels fantastic. What can I say? That's a perfect shifter. The knob feels really, really nice when it's not freezing cold, or apparently really, really hot. I do not need to buy an extra little leather piece on it to survive Florida summers. And I don't drive this in the winter, so that's good for me. The steering, I keep mine in comfort most of the time. I do have individual where I can get a bit more of that fake sound in the exhaust valve open up, but it doesn't sound that much better, so I really honestly don't care. So comfort, the steering is well weighted. It has enough feel for it. If I flip it to sport, it is a little tighter, but I don't know if I'm getting that much power out of it, and it has got to be a smooth road. Winnipeg does not have a lot of smooth roads. So anyhow, that's really great. The brakes feel fantastic. You can tell exactly when they bite. You can tell it hauls this car down so fast. It is bulletproof, I think, the brakes on this particular thing. In comfort, the ride is acceptable, and I'm okay with that. I know I mentioned other people or other times that some people have changed over to the Integra Type S suspension module, damper module, and I thought about it, but 500 bucks Canadian, it's a decent amount of money, and do I need it softer? I don't know. But anyhow, I'm okay with comfort. Sight lines, fantastic. I can see out of the car just about everywhere. Looks great. Mirrors are well positioned. Feels nice. I don't bump around on it too badly on bumpy roads as long as I'm in comfort. What can I say? It's just a really good driving experience, and I can certainly drive it every day if I wanted to. Though I don't want to, because I just don't want to get it hit. If I park it somewhere, it seems like someone's always hitting my Civic EX. Gauges are easy to see. Changing the gauges is easy. The pop-up display here is easy to look at, a little simple, easy to navigate through. Seems to be quite responsive. I've heard of other people having problems with other systems that are slow, so that's pretty good there. So I'm on a bit of a bumpy road right now, so it jerks around a little bit. Could you use a softer suspension setting? I don't know, maybe. I certainly don't need plus R. Why are there Pop-Tarts and no Mom-Tarts? Well, I'm not too sure, but I'm going to blame it on the patriarchy. Reliability. Well, I only had it in for one thing, pretty much. Well, okay, the steering was off. I had to bring it in like 5 times to get my steering centered. Finally, I got a tech, and now I know his name. If you get a good guy, know his name, and then ask for that guy all the time. So they tried 3-4 times, and the steering was still off. Like, it just was not straight. Not like any of my other cars, not like my Civic EX. So that's a really good thing to compare it to. Finally guy let me sit in the car while it was on the rack, and I held it 100% where I thought it was straight, and I've been super pleased after that. It's perfect now. But that took me, well, at least 4 trips to get that done right. And I had the spring recall on the rack. I didn't notice anything weird, but I thought, you know what, get it fixed sooner. Well, I think it's a different tension spring plus some different, or greasing it up more. So I know that's a bit concerning because in other areas of the world, they're replacing the entire rack. So in North America, I think it's just the spring, so we'll see if that's a long-term fix. Other than that, I have no issues to bring it in. I really don't. Also, the amount of power. For front-wheel drive, this is about all I'd want. Because I'm already spinning the tires often in second if I punch it. So at first it's really hard to even just keep it going. This is a bumpy road that I quite like. I wish they would smooth it out because boy, would it be fun going here fast. Is anybody up here that's watching? Nope. Alright, so I'm on comfort. And you're going to see I'm still going to be bouncing around here quite a bit. So they're positives. Negatives. It's front wheel drive. And sometimes it does tug. I've noticed that the tires have gone down a little bit in terms of tread. I'm finding myself following some of the ruts a bit more than I did when it was brand new. The Plus R is useless. I don't know, maybe someone out there I haven't read yet or watched is using Plus R, but unless you're on a skating rink, it's useless. So therefore, why not have the Integra system, where at least you can go softer, which might be useful versus useless. And so not that I'm complaining, but I just think it's really dumb that they put a system in that's just literally not good enough for almost any road. So that's not great. Auto brights, really dumb. Usually you'd have your brights on and auto brights would turn them down when a car comes. No. This is where you leave it on normal and it puts the brights on when it thinks there isn't anybody around. It's like, what? So then it sometimes throws them on in weird spots, like in downtown where you don't want the brights on, and it flashes them down and up and down. So it's a backward system to any other car I've ever owned. Some people talk about coolant tank leaks. I haven't had that, but also not pounding the crap out of my car. So maybe that's what you need to do to have the coolant leak and just replace, or the tank replaced with a better one. But I don't know anything about that. My biggest gripe is probably the speedometer. It only shows in Canada 40 kilometer increments as numbers and 20 kilometers as a tick. It's like, how do I know I can look at the little digital one in the middle, but I like looking at the gauges. That's just what I'm used to doing. I can see it easier at a glance. And for me to know how fast I'm going is kind of really quite dumb. So I wish it's aesthetic, 100%. They could have included more numbers. They could have included more ticks. All right, this might be a bit of a controversial one. The clutch is nice and it's easy, but it grabs really quite near the top, and it's not 100% easy to feel it up there. So when I'm ripping it, to redline, once in a while it's a little bit hard to get that all matched up perfectly. I think I've checked other forums and I think the clutch grabs on the top. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I think that's just kind of the way it goes. No TPMS in Canada. It's not required by law. So what if I had a flat? Or lower pressure? I would like to know that before. I don't want to know by just simply looking, because what if I don't go to that side of the car? And that happened with my Civic EX. I actually had a nail in it, and I did not know for a while that it was getting low on air, because it didn't drive weirdly. I know people who have tracked their cars, and to take off the stability control 100%, you have to do some crazy pedal dance. And it involves about 10 different steps, which is kind of bonkers. Otherwise, it still will do brake vector, torque vectoring, braking, whatever that's called, on the back. It will actually, heat up the brakes in the back to try to help you around corners. But to change that, you have to do this pedal dance. So doing it through the menu will actually not take it off 100%. Another thing that's negative, this is a glitch. There's a little red line for the speed limit if the camera picks it up. So let's say it's 80 kilometers an hour. It should have a little red line where 80 is, so if you're watching just the gauge, you know the speed limit if you're going over it or not. Well, for some crazy reason, mine shows 130 often when it's 80. And that's a significant mistake. So that's a mistake somewhere in the programming. It has to be. And lastly, it isn't the most fuel efficient car in the world. what I'm getting in terms of gas mileage. 9 liters per 100 around, which isn't terrible. My EX does quite a bit better. But here's the kicker, it has a small gas tank. And I even think that for the other car that I have, it's too small. It should have a bigger gas tank. You should have more range. And I guess they just didn't have any more room. But hey, you know what? It's not a perfect car. No car is perfect. And literally, okay, if I wanted to have this as a perfect car, this is what I would have. I would have it smaller. I do not need this much room. I would have a larger gas tank. I'd fix up some of the niggling things inside the electronics. I also would make it rear-wheel drive. Gasp! I know, it wouldn't be a Civic Type R if it was rear-wheel drive. Well, things change. And maybe I would just like maybe a rear-wheel drive Honda. Really what I want is Honda reliability with a BMW M2 chassis. Maybe that's what I'd like. But I'm not interested in losing money on a BMW. I'm not interested in the cost of the BMW. I don't think it's worth it. So I would, I would keep things mostly the same, except put it into a smaller coupe size and rear-wheel drive. Because then you can handle more power and put it down and drift and stuff like that a little bit more. I did have a BMW 135M twin turbo 2007, and I really liked that car. But I was terrified of the maintenance costs. And I have friends who have BMWs, and when they go for oil change, it's like hundreds of dollars. And if something goes wrong, it's thousands of dollars. So here we go. This is a kind of a bumpy section. And I'm going around speed limit. Around speed limit, I'd say. Would not want to put it on any tougher a suspension setting than this. Boy, you see I'm banging around here like crazy. Oh, I also like the rev match. I've never been good at heel towing. I've always wanted to learn how to do it better. So the rev match is cool. 4 years ago, when I started looking around for another sports car, I had a certain amount of attributes that I was kind of looking for. So I've got the list here, and let's see how the Civic Type R did. Unique and rare. Yes. Good styling. Yes. Adequate horsepower? Yep. Crisp, precise handling and braking? Yes, sir. Manual transmission? Yipper. Great front seats? Absolutely. Unique body panels and design? Yeah. Affordable? Yeah, compared to most cars? Yeah. Low production numbers? Certainly. Rear-wheel drive? No. Coupe design? No. Reliable low cost of ownership? Yes, sir.
Well, no surprises here, so you can probably guess that the Type R gets a pass. Well, much more than a pass, but I wouldn't live with perfect. Ironically, I completely missed mentioning the biggest turd of them all. The sucky, did I mention sucky exhaust note? Check out another video where I try the cheap and dirty exhaust valve fuse pull. It helped a little, but it still stinks. The good news is that over the last year, I really discovered no more turds other than the brittle paint and the possible wear on the Alcantara seat. Because it's nice and sunny outside, I'm going to stick with my 4.5 ice cream truck award I gave it last year. No need for the 1.21 gigawatts or 88 miles per hour. I'm keeping it. Thanks for watching.